Miguel, thanks very much for sitting down with me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much for your invitation.
Miguel, I understand, unfortunately I missed it today, but I understand you did a spectacular presentation today on plant breeding innovation. Can you tell me a little bit about what the core of that speech was about, and why was everyone so engaged?
Yes, first of all, I had to tell you that the plant breeding innovation was probably the main topic of the Congress. Okay. We have a Congress of 3 days long, that lasts for 3 days, and one day is dedicated completely to plant breeding innovation. Today in the afternoon and tomorrow during the morning. So this is a clear sign that the importance that the plant breeding innovation has for all the people in South America, North America, Central America, and all the seed business in the world.
It's true.
Plant breeding innovation is changing the world of the plant breeding, and so this is the reason why we dedicate one complete day for such issue in this Congress. Today in the afternoon we have the first part of a PBI part of the Congress, and I have the main speech at such meeting.
Right. And so you're based out of Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that your focus on plant breeding innovation is of core interest to this large audience? Because they were obviously very engaged in what you were offering today.
Well, I had to divide the situation in Argentina and the rest of America. First, I just want to talk about Argentina. In the case of Argentina, we have a 100 year plant breeding history.
Right.
So we have a local company, national companies, very important ones, and we have multinational companies, familiar companies, and also the academics. And so we have a very rich history on plant breeding. And we are very aware of all the new news that we have all around the world, and all the companies and all the institutions are using the new technology tools. As soon as the plant breeding innovation, the different techniques appears on the field, all the people start to use it. The situation was a little bit different from when the transgenics appeared more than 20 years ago, because at such time we don't have all the experience necessary to use the technologies. And also the regulatory aspect related with such tools was so hard and so difficult for many small companies and medium-sized companies that not all the programs that we want at that time was achieved at this time.
Right.
But with the new breeding techniques, the scenario, the stage is completely different. Mm-hmm. The new breeding techniques are easy to use, very cheap, and probably most of the products developed through these new breeding techniques will not be regulated at all. Right. So the scenario is completely different than we had 20 years ago. And so that's the reason why we are so excited, and that's the reason why we put such efforts in order to put this issue in this Congress.
Well said. I'm curious your take. In the seed industry, we tend to be pretty good at talking amongst ourselves, mm-hmm. but not necessarily so great about communicating to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about, as we come to these new breeding techniques and we evolve plant breeding, how do we need to tell that story?
Yes. During my speech, I addressed 3 issues: the technical aspect, the regulatory aspect, and the access aspect of the new breeding techniques. Tomorrow, Bernice Slutsky from the ASA mm-hmm. will address the issue of the communications. Communication is an extremely important part of the new breeding techniques. We have to educate the people, we have to educate the students, we have to educate everybody about the characteristics of the new breeding techniques and the products, which are completely identical to the conventional products. But the process was different, but the product is identical to the conventional breeding products. So we have to transmit the message that transgenics are good, and these are also so good as the transgenic and the conventional ones.
Right. Would it be safe to say that each one of you talk technical, regulatory, and access?
Mm-hmm.
Do each of those have a communications aspect to them? Do we need to be able to communicate with regulators? Do we need to be able to communicate the technical aspects? Do we need to communicate how access is going to work?
Well, this could be a possibility. During my speech, I compare the new breeding techniques in other organisms, for example, in humans.
Right.
2 weeks ago, all the world was surprised by a paper published by academic team in the United States about a genetic modification in human embryos.
Right.
And most people said, oh, wow, this is a very particular issue, and this is very important, and probably it's very important to me. Mm. And why the regulatory aspect or the access aspect in humans could be different from the regulatory or the access issues in plants.
Right.
It's ridiculous. Right. Because it's the same techniques, and we are talking about humans.
Right.
Why we're not talking about plants?
Right.
So I think this is basically part of the message that we have to do.
Right. When you talk with regulators,
yeah,
what do you hear as the main issue, the main hook that you think we have to be focused in on as we manage this regulatory process?
The main focus is how to identify which is a GMO and which is not a GMO. So the problem with the new breeding techniques is we have to develop a new concept about what is a GMO and what is not a GMO. GMO is regulated, the no GMO is not regulated. So we have to build a definition and a new concepts. Right. And in my particular case, I'm a member of the Argentina Seed Association, but also I am a member of the National Biosafety Council, because the National Biosafety Council in Argentina is comprised by public sector and private sector. The public sector is the most important sector, but we are part of the system. So in the case of Argentina, and because also we have a large experience on regulation, Argentina was the first country in the world that adopted regulation regarding the new breeding techniques. Mm. The regulation was put in place in the year 2015, and Argentina was the first country. Now Chile, Israel, and some of the countries around the world are taking the position. In the case of the United States, it's very important. During January of this year, the APHIS published a proposal for the regulation of the new products. And also, such proposal comprise a new definition of what a GMO is. Mm. So it's very particular. We are doing a lot of efforts all around the world, and also at the level of the ISF, at the level of International Seed Federation, we are trying to build unified criteria for all the countries in order to understand what the new products are and what should be regulated or not.
Right. So each country is going to go have its dialogue, its national dialogue about plant breeding innovation. Mm-hmm. Why is it so important to come together as a regional group like this? And now this is a big region, all of North America, all of Central America, and all of South America, to come together and have this conversation. Why does that become important?
Why? The answer is so simple, because we are America.
Right.
And the most important crops are planted here. If we add United States, Brazil, and Argentina, perhaps more than 50 or 60% of the food of the world is produced in our countries. So America is the continent that is feeding the world. Right. So it's very important to have this discussion here and to decide here about the new technologies.
Right. There really seems to be an openness in this group to be able to have those dialogues. Everyone can have their own viewpoint, but I think there's a realization we have to come together as a unified voice.
Sure.
Yeah.
But we're trying to get a unified voice.
Right. That's the target, is to have that.
Sure. You're right.
Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between plant breeding innovation and intellectual property?
Oh, it's very important. During the transgenic era, or during the development of all the transgenic materials, most of them has been protected by patents. Mm-hmm. The multinational companies use the patent tools in order to protect the new inventions. But in the case of PBI, the patent system has been challenged. because in most cases the new products could not be protected by a patent. And so if the new products could not be protected by a patent, which should be the most important intellectual property tool in order to protect the new products? And this is part of the discussion that we have today. And this is part of the discussion we are having in America. How to protect the new products. Perhaps in most cases the PBP, the plant breeding primary rights, could be the tool, but also not in all cases. So the new products are really a challenge for the current intellectual property tools that we are having.
Right, because it's a new product, a new way of looking at this, which needs a new way to protect it.
Sure.
Right.
Perhaps.
Right. That's great. I really appreciate you sitting down with me, Miguel. I appreciate your take on this.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.